What are the 8 directional shots of tennis? So what am I talking about here? These what I call the 8 directional shots of tennis because these are shots that describe the actual shot that is being performed and which general direction it's going. So I think most of you know what these shots are. If you're an advanced tennis player or a person that generally watches tennis, you will hear these terms. And I've grouped them as the 8 directional shots of tennis because I think all tennis players should know this. And why should they know this? Well, I think this is your first clue in determining your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. So this is very good to know. And I'll explain more a little bit later in the video about this. So let's go ahead and describe each 8 directional shots of tennis. And the first shot that I'll describe is the forehand crosscourt. And basically, if you check out my forehand here, I'm right-handed. And a forehand crosscourt will simply go diagonally towards the other side of my opponent's court, right? So here's my forehand going diagonally here, and that is a forehand crosscourt. The second shot I'll describe is the forehand down the line. And here's Scott returning my serve here, and he's going straight down the line, meaning it's going straight towards the other court and it's going parallel to the sideline here, right? And so he's doing this forehand down the line straight up and he hit it for a winner. The third shot I'll describe is the forehand inside-out. And basically it's a forehand, and here's Scott here. Again, he's right-handed and he's performing a forehand on his backhand side. So if you check, this part of the court here, that's his backhand side, but he's performing a forehand going cross court, right? But we don't call it forehand cross court. We call it forehand inside out, right? So this is a forehand going inside out, and it's going diagonally towards my backhand here. I'm right-handed again, and it's going towards my backhand. So here is a forehand inside out for a winner there. The fourth shot that I'll describe is the forehand inside-in. So here's Andrew. Again, he's a right-handed player, and he's performing a forehand on the backhand side of the court, right? The backhand side of the court is the left side of the court, and he's performing this forehand that is going straight to my own forehand. And we don't call that a forehand down the line. We call that a forehand inside-in shot. So here's a forehand inside-in going to my own forehand. And now we're going through all the backhand shots, and this is the fifth shot that I'll describe, and it's the backhand crosscourt. And it's basically a backhand being performed going diagonally towards my opponent's own backhand, and it's going to the other side of the court there. So here's a backhand crosscourt. The sixth shot that I'll describe is the backhand down the line, and here's my backhand here, and I'm going straight, again, parallel to the sideline here. And so this is a backhand down the line. The seventh shot I'll describe is the backhand inside out. So here's my backhand, and again, I'm on the forehand side of the court, okay? And I'm performing this backhand here that is going diagonally to my opponent's forehand here, right? So here is a backhand inside out. And the last shot I'll describe is the backhand inside-in. And again, I'm performing a backhand on the forehand side of my court there, and I'm going straight through towards Daniel's backhand side there. And again, it's parallel towards the sideline. And this is a backhand inside-in. So those are the 8 directional shots of tennis. And so why is it so important to know all these? What's the big deal here? Well, I believe this is the first clue, your first clue in determining your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And so here's my backhand down the line again. And, a lot of players, right? Obviously, they have maybe better forehands than backhands or better backhands than forehands. But, a lot of good players, right? They have good forehands and backhands, right? And, it's not as simple as really determining which wing is their weakness. You gotta know what type of ball they like to hit. And that's why it's very important to understand the 8 directional shots of tennis and understand which of those shots may be their weakness. So, again, I face an opponent where, they hit great backhand down the lines, right? They have phenomenal backhand down the lines maybe, but their backhand cross courts aren't so good. Maybe they're average. Maybe they can't angle it very well, right? And so, what did I do in that particular match? Well, I just kind of camped out here and just kind of waited for their backhand down the line to go cross court on them. And that worked out very well for me. And, by default, actually, the backhand down the line is the tougher shot. It's a very tough shot to handle. But, a lot of players, they may like the backhand down the line more than a backhand cross court. So you got to check out what exactly is their strength and weakness, and also maybe they're, let's say I'm hitting a forehand here. Maybe their forehand inside out is better than their forehand cross court, right? A lot of players are like that. A lot of players, they like to run around their backhand to hit a forehand, but they don't necessarily like to go and run to their forehand side to hit a forehand cross court. It's just not as good. And so, you got to look for these things in your tennis matches. And, I guarantee you this, your opponent will be checking you out in regards to what type of shot that you're performing as well. So, again, you got to know your opponent, and you got to know what they like to do and what they don't like to do. And, opponent will do the same thing to you. So that is why the 8 directional shots of tennis is your first clue in determining your opponent's strengths and opponent's weaknesses. Understand that, and I think you'll be a better tennis player. If you enjoyed this video, kindly do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.